All right, here we go. And we are live, looks like. I'm trying the scheduled stream thing again, because I had a little bit of a glitchiness with it the last time I tried, but seems like it's working. Alright, let's get into some mage stuff. Taking any questions. God, I switched things around. I used to have my monitor over, my second monitor over here. Now it's over here, and for whatever reason, it's like really freaking me out. Forgetting where everything is. Okay. I took a brief glance at the 10.1 tier set, but let's take another look. Let's see. Arcanes, 2-piece. Arcane Surge increases spell damage by an additional 5%. Inspiration by 3. Yeah, that doesn't really do much, because that's unfortunate. It's kind of at the tail end of everything anyways. I mean, I guess during Double Lust you'd be able to spam more Arcane Blast. But the 4-piece. For every 20,000 mana spent during Arcane Surge. 12 seconds. I don't know about that one. Because, like, you spend a bunch of mana during Arcane Surge to get a big damage buff, and then you're... boom? I don't know. Initial read. Not a huge fan. Fire one's really the one that jumped out to me. Or jumped out at me. The Phoenix Flames applies Charring Embers to all enemies it damages. I can't remember if Phoenix Flames is uncapped. Oh, that's so good. It is uncapped. Oh, you can't really see because of my chat overlay. Yeah, no, it is uncapped. All other nearby enemies. That's... that's awesome. And then this one seems incredible. The direct damage spells. Yeah, that is going to be a lot of fun if that stays the way that it currently is, because hyperthermia leads to being able to, at least I don't know if this changed, I haven't tried this in a while, but the way that hyperthermia used to work is you could activate, or because it's an instant cast pyro, but it's not like a hot streak, it technically counts as a hard cast pyro for pyroclasm or SKB. So if we can telegraph that, that's actually kind of amazing. 30. See how many hits. Because that's every fire blast that counts as a hit. So 8. That's weird. It hit 5 times, but only 4 casts. Okay, 8. What, 13? If this counts as a direct hit, then 14, 15. I mean, you could potentially get, what, halfway to a hyperthermia proc with this bonus, and that's without lust. So during lust, like, that's gonna accelerate a lot. It makes me wonder if they're gonna put like an internal cooldown on it. I mean, it would be dumb because of the way that Fire Mage works with Fire Blast being in between globals. It would make a lot more sense to not have an internal cooldown, but this just seems like it might be really broken. I don't know. I'm excited. And then let's see what Frost. So Flurry and Frostbolt damage increased by 20. That's nice. Flat damage increase. Flurry causes an explosion on impact, dealing 50% of its damage to nearby enemies. Uncapped. That's nice, actually. That's gonna make Flurry so much better. Or it feels so much better to hit in AoE. Like, I haven't played much Frost, or I haven't really played any Frost this year. But that was always one thing, like, you dump Flurry procs because you like, don't have a better button to push, but it never really feels great in AoE. Since your splitting Ice Lances are not going to be benefiting from the Winter's Chill. Or both of them. Just the one. Then let's see. Casting Ice Lance on a frozen target has an 8% chance to trigger Brain Freeze. So this looks like Flurry is going to become... Oh, wow. That could be interesting for Cleave. That looks like Flurry's going to feel a hell of a lot better to push. Because basically, Ice Lance spam through Thermal Void is going to lead to a lot more Brain Freeze procs, which in AoE, you don't even, not that you necessarily have to cast Frostbolt into Flurry now, but this supports just sending the Flurry, like the Brain Freeze procs, as they come up because they're burst AoE damage. Not bad, actually. I like that. An interesting. I think fire is going to scale insanely. This just seems wild because if you happen to get a hyperthermia with an SKB combustion and 2 pyroclasm procs, like, you get 2 instant pyros and then the rest of the SKB. Like, I just see that accelerating so fast. Or yeah, potentially. If things don't line up well, it could be obnoxious, but you know what I haven't done yet? Since we don't have any questions quite yet, I'm going to pull up some raid testing because I have been too busy this time around to do raid testing. take a look and see what kind of damage profile the next raid is going to be looking at a little bit. Okay, Gazara the Hellforged. Do we have Wowhead information? I should probably just update the PTR. Or maybe it's all automatically. Oh, I don't even have it installed. There you go. All right, we will start that because I kind of want to look at the dungeon journal, but see what this looks like because I want to see how far into the raid this boss is. So, dropping puddles, knockback. Oh no, wait, those are riffs. Ads? I'm gonna guess. Whoa, I didn't see that coming. That was a cool looking mechanic. Hey, by the way, I just opened up my Streamlabs because I realized that's where I get my notifications. And I saw that Chewy Chang Yang subscribed about 6 minutes ago. Thank you so much. I have a little bit of an overly complicated setup, so I'm still figuring things out a bit. I don't know why it's not showing the there we go. Did that actually show on OBS? It did. Okay, so maybe that did show up earlier and I didn't see it. Or I didn't hear it. So I've been a little behind on the raid testing. This is the first one I'm looking at. I'm updating the PTR right now. As of right now, based on the tier sets, I think fire is going to be insane. I think fire frost seems like it has a lot of potential in cleave situations. So keys, like fire scales really, really well in keys. Generally with this type of playstyle with ignite. And as haste gets higher, so it's jury's kind of out on whether or not frost or fire is going to be really good in keys, but single target fire seems like it's going to be nuts, mainly because that 6% damage buff from the Phoenix Flames 2-piece is probably just going to be up most of the time, and I see hyperthermia being a bit ridiculous. So this fight seemed like it was just straight. Yeah, it was straight single target. Low movement. My guess is that's the first boss. My internet is slow at downloading while I'm streaming. Yeah, I don't see the arcane set being all that effective because it kind of seems like it can give you a potentially large damage buff after most of your damage goes out. But the fire one with the potential interaction with hyperthermia and all that, and that fire is basically just huge single target that then leads to passive cleave, plus cauterize, plus the fire utility with the mobility, and loss of uptime isn't as egregious for fire as it is for frost. In general, I see fire just being super strong. All right, what boss is this? So 2-target cleave, which on its face makes Frost a potential competitor. And you're gonna pull. There we go. If they can be tanked right next to each other for the entirety of it, even though 3+ is Blizzard. Okay, they can be tanked next to each other, so splitting ice has some potential in a situation like this. And that flurry cleave would definitely... Oh, but now we got spread. And just like that, I think fire's probably... Yeah, I see that being better on this fight if they ever have to spread. Yup. What other raid testing was there? Was it just the 2? Oh, so there should be a Vigilant Steward. Let's check that. I can type Steward. Not Steward. But I'm confused. Is he not actually testing? Okay. Or did that testing not happen? That's all I'm seeing is just those 2 bosses. Oh, here's one. Okay. I don't know why, but this arena gives me Painsmith vibes. I had like a little bit of PTSD. Definitely bombs like that don't help. Okay, so what is going on here? What are they dropping? So far this is single... Nope. Not single target. Are those fixated? What are those golems trying to do? Okay, interesting. Where are the bombs coming from? Oh, did that just destroy that bomb? I think it did. And oh no, that person ran over it and go back to the beginning of the pool and see where the bombs came from. Very curious. Oh, boss cast shrapnel bomb. And then doesn't look like it's applying a debuff. The bombs must do something particular. Okay, interesting. So it seems like a lot of single target with cryo swap, which when I look at this, I see like that's a scorch mouse over execute target, you know. So I see fire yet again being strong in this fight. Okay, let's see if we can find what's the last one. Rashak the Elder. Rashak. I was trying to figure out if that was a boss mechanic. That's Ravager, huh? That's a sick graphic. I don't know if I've ever actually seen the full graphic of Ravager. I don't know why, but this fight is giving me a little bit of like Guardian vibes. From Sanctum. So it's just a single target? But do you not get a debuff from that? Oh, sweet. My PTR is done. Open the PTR and look at the dungeon journal. Oh, that means I have no add-ons. Everything's gonna be super weird. Alright, let's just look at the dungeon. Probably should turn the music off. It's loud and I have no idea what's going on in the stream. So. sound. Can't do sound. Wait. Where's my dungeon journal? Wait, you can't open a dungeon journal on a new character? That's stupid. Yeah, I think, honestly, between Arcane and Frost, I think that Frost is... It feels like Frost is probably going to be... Especially after what we just saw in those couple of fights. Frost seems like it's going to be pretty good. The thing with Arcane is I just don't see it scaling as well with increased secondaries. Because I feel like you're going to need a lot of mastery in order to make use of the way that the set bonus seems to be setting us up for. All right, give me that dungeon journal. Was I just watching? It was for shock. Yeah. I mean, I feel you. I'm a big fan of Arcane too, but I also have to say that I'm looking forward to a tier of Fire Prog. Partly because Cauterize lets you be a little lazy, but also just because the current iteration of Arcane is so unforgiving that, like, when I have an off night, I feel like I really have an off night. And I'm looking forward to a little bit of a break from that. Like, so frontal. Oh, this seems like it's going to be a math equation on how many people soak the dot. Okay, cool. I think it's just been these 4 tested from what I looked at. Or yeah, I looked at the raid schedule or the testing schedule. Was it for a week? Yeah, this boss feels fairly tank and spank. What's the new dungeon called? I need to check it out. Or isn't there one? Didn't I hear somebody say? Or no, it's new rotation. Right? People in my key group were talking about it, but maybe I missed something. Yeah, well, I think it was probably less that Arcane was falling behind and more that they just kept buffing Frost and Fire. And it's like caught up to where all 3 of them at the moment are fairly competitive with each other. But how that's going to scale going into the next tier is just, yeah. We'll find out. Is the new... Oh, so we're gonna have Brackenhide, Oldemon, Halls of Infusion. Well, I guess that makes sense. It's the other 4. I mean, I'm pretty confident overall, but I haven't played Frost. Like a lot of the finer nuances, if there are any that have changed for Dragonflight, I may not know, but I've played a decent amount of Frost. I mean, it's still, from what I understand, it's fairly the straightforward, just keep casting Frostbolt and manage procs accordingly. Don't cap on flurry charges. Try not to waste procs, but you're gonna munch procs eventually, and keep Icy Veins up as much as possible. From what I've looked at and trying to keep up with it, that seems to be how the playstyles ended up. I haven't played in AoE with Snowstorm at all, so that's like one of the more nuanced things of, I don't know exactly how like that talent works, but, or I know how it works, or how you want to apply that. I've been told that that's just in Algathar. And outside of that, you pretty much just blast Ice Lances. And given the tier set coming up with Ice Lances proccing Brain Freeze and all of that, then I see that being more and more of a thing. So let's take a look at mage stuff. Or some Frost Mage. Where are we going? We're going here. So whenever I brush up on anything, I love starting here. Let's see if there's anything. Are you running well, actually, here's probably a better place to start, since I haven't played much Frost. What specifically do you feel like you're struggling with? Like, do you have any specific circumstances that you find like Icy Veins isn't up when you need it? Or it's like, if I don't know how Icy Veins uptime looks right now, because back when I played Frost and pushed, it was the cooldown reduction procced on AoE. So I don't know if 100% uptime is still the goal in keys, or what. But from what I remember most of, and I assume that these talents are gonna cleave talents. Yeah, Freezing Rain. It's a lot of like Orb, then Blizzard, and then probably Shatter, those two, and then Ice Lance to avoid proccing. Actually, let me just respec Frost and see what happens. Close the PTR. Yeah, I just mean I don't know exactly what the expectation is. If you should be activating Icy Veins every third pull, every fourth pull, I mean, it's probably every other pull, I imagine, depending. Because the big issue with Icy Veins that I ran into when I was pushing as Frost was that I would get in situations where I didn't have it up, but I was like halfway through the trash pack, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get it back, or I didn't know if I should like try to get value out of it. So I would lose uses. And when I was playing, it was more of a just send it and try to burst AoE to get the cooldown reduction back. But take a look. Don't want snow. I kind of feel like Meteor, I don't know, because I know you can shatter Meteor, so I know that that's a thing, but my guess, and this is just wild speculation, but my guess is that most people are looking towards fire. right now. Just in general with like, I know I am. My next guide is going to be on fire. I think this is the right thing. Check. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we have freezing rain, like ice. So yeah, I imagine you, what, here, shatter, lance, don't cap on flurry, blizzard, shatter again, lance. Another blizzard right before freezing rain drops off, another rune. All right, I think I don't even have shifting power hotkey to the right button. Been that long. Yeah, I think that's roughly, I don't know if not letting, well, the guide's pulled up right here. I could probably read what the AoE rotation prio is. Where's flurry? Okay, it's 9th. So capping on flurry charges is fine if you have other buttons to push in AoE. That seems to be... But do you cast flurry with brain freeze? No. So yeah, that's going to change in 10.1 with the change to the tier set, because flurry is going to have an AoE component to it. But yeah, I think that's the AoE rotation for Frost. My guess would be that, or at least what I found with Frost, was a lot of it came down to how many total uses of Icy Veins you were getting, mainly because every time you cast Icy Veins, you're getting another 12 seconds of rune. So for AoE damage as Frost and Keys, I would just look for overall Icy Veins uptime and see if there's any, if you can do a better job of efficiently getting better value out of not just like the Icy Veins haste buff, but making sure you're standing in your rune and you're lining up runes like with orb as much as you can, or like I said, I haven't played, so I don't know a lot of the specific nuances, but in general, getting the maximum amount of uses of your Icy Veins and never holding it for really any cooldown reduction build in general, fire has a similar thing, kindling, that's a good place to start. And then I would look into, there's little things like what I just did right here. When I cast here and then I do freezing rain right after, you can get 3 freezing rains. If you're very quick, you might need more haste. Okay, when you have Icy Veins up, you need more haste, but there's a way to like clip a 3rd freezing rain instant cast blizzard right before the buff drops off. And it seems like you probably need 50% haste. Is 30, 19, yeah. But yeah, so that's another like maybe little nuanced thing, because that 3rd empowered blizzard lets you then immediately cast an orb and then go into ice lances. Yeah, what's cool is I think the only difference between gearing fire versus frost is crit, because you want haste mastery for fire, and to be honest, crit haste mastery is what you want for arcane, so it kind of works for all three a little bit. Arcane is the build that suffers first from gearing for frost and fire though, but I am finding that really you could just swap out rings probably and get your crit swapped out of either haste or mastery from a fire set. Yeah, I'm gonna start working on a fire guide this week. I have this idea that I want to try to like go over a fire guide kind of on stream, but I haven't fully figured out what that might look like if I do that. But I am going to be putting out a fire guide for mainly like a fire basics that focuses on like anybody picking up the class for the first time kind of thing. And my goal is to get that out, or not go. It's going to be out by the next tier, before the next tier launches. Actually, I'm gonna lust and see what happens with Frost. Imagine all that extra haste gets pretty wild. Dude, I think my tooltips down here are like kind of freaking out with all that haste. Kind of funny. Yeah, fire definitely has its own. I enjoy the like total mobility, especially with ice flows now. And I used to have the idea to do that, like make a guide and then expand on it, but that's kind of what I'm hoping this stream turns into. Is basically like I have the guide, and then if anybody wants questions or as things, because what I find is as the tier evolves, people find stuff out, right? So like people figure out little min-max stuff, and it's so hard to get all that stuff into a video in the time frame that it's relevant. So I'm hoping that this office hours stream kind of covers some of that more like detailed niche or like specific type stuff. And most of fire really comes down to, can you do combustion on the move, right? Once you have the muscle memory down that you can get all of your damage out with combustion while running around, I think that's kind of the tipping point when fire starts becoming really comfy. Because then you could start paying attention to mechanics, and fire starts feeling a lot more relaxing than other specs. Yeah, I love ice flows with these hard cast pyros. Feels so good. Drag that field of burn out. It's your, well, practically the best way that I find, or the way that I find I use greater invis most of the time is to drop threat when I've pulled threat, and like in keys mainly. In raid, it's your biggest defensive outside of ice block. So I think it's something, because it's a 60% DR, I think it's worth like assigning to a specific mechanic if you know where you don't have healing cooldowns going on in your raid or whatever. But I find that I use it primarily as a, oh shit, I'm about to die and I need to, like, the tank goes down, so I'll try to kite while we res the tank, and then I'll use, well, you can use regular invis in that situation, but the instant cast nature of it is why I generally find myself using it for threat dropping keys. Or like I said, just for any individual big hits, it's 4 seconds of massive damage reduction. So like a good example is like the first boss in SBG, the, what's it called? Whispers of Dark Sky. It's a pretty long channel. I think it's like a 6-second channel or 7-second channel, but you can negate 4 seconds of that, or you can reduce 4 seconds of that by 60%. So like stuff like that, looking for knowing when you want to activate it ahead of time makes Greater Invis a very, very effective cooldown. And I remember when I played Fire Mage back in BFA, I used to just hit training dummies for fun, trying to get to that. I can't remember if it was 1,000,000 DPS or 1,000,000 Ignite was my goal. I think it was probably 1,000,000 Ignite. But I feel like Fire Mage might be headed towards those days again. Fairly soon. You know what I haven't done? I have not looked through any. Oh, it just occurred to me. We're going to be able to farm that. But since Arcane isn't like the main thing anymore, it won't be entirely necessary. That'd be cool. What am I going to want to farm? That's the real question. Is there... You know what? I'm going to pull up the Mage Hub and look at the sim lists. Out fire. Oh, it doesn't have them at the right item levels. But I could try to intuit what they would do. Oh, Iridius Fragment could be... I could actually see Iridius Fragment being... That is Halls of Infusion? Yes. I say that, but with Fire Blast cast as fast as they are, I feel like the int would decay really quickly. So... I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to see if there's any good raid trinkets. Let's see. My PTR that I just downloaded and updated. Now updated. See if my computer freaks out. Over 2 instances of WoW while streaming. All right, let's check out some raid loot. Actually, shouldn't they have... Oh, I don't know where my mount is. I use Opie. Keystone vendor. Got to be a gear vendor around here somewhere, right? No? Dungeon Journal it is. I just want to read trinket. Oh, these are the very rare. That's interesting. The mastery one. Hey, thoughts on the Fire Mage tier set bonus? I am a big fan. To be honest, it seems like it might be a little broken. Just because of hyperthermia giving us access to instant cast Pyroclasm and SKB activation it's just an insane prospect to think that all of that could line up with an additional 6% damage on all targets because Phoenix Flames is uncapped. So I think, yeah, I'm a big fan of the fire bonuses. Oh, your summons attacks. Okay, I didn't notice these were class trinkets. I was just about to say, this is the one I want, but we don't use area of effect spells anymore. We use Fire Blast for Ignite. Oh, there's a Mastery Trinket. It's an on-use damage trinket. I don't like on-use damage trinkets. This seems like it's going to be the new icon. So, if that's the case, that's probably what I'm going to want. Yeah. I mean, unless this one, the proc rate increases with how many ticks are going out. But I could probably see this one and then Feather. And I gotta say, I've been running these two as a passive, as fire, and I love it. I think my damage went up versus using an on use because there's nothing to sync up anymore. It's just send it. Pretty good. All right. We are getting towards the end of today's office hours. So does anybody have any final questions? Anything you want me to cover? All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much, everybody that dropped by and hung out. Hope you learned something and had a good time. See you next Saturday, and I am gonna start working on a fire guide this week. And like I said, I don't know exactly how that's gonna look, but yeah.